All right, now the Trump administration is on a campaign of public and closed-door briefings days after the United States targeted and struck Iran's nuclear sites. Now, the operation that was called Midnight Hammer has got the lawmakers split right down the middle on the question as to what was actually the scale of damage that was inflicted on the Iranian nuclear sites. Trump claims complete obliteration, but his own intelligence agencies do not totally agree. Now, apart from repeated calls from the U.S. Congress, especially the Democrats, the top officials from the Trump administration have briefed the senators in a private session on Thursday. And following the briefing, the Democrat senators stepped out, still appearing to be unconvinced that the American strikes have completely obliterated the Iranian nuclear sites, as Trump is claiming.
So obviously I can't share any of the details from this briefing, but I just do not think the president was telling the truth when he said this program was obliterated. There's certainly damage done to the program, but there is significant, there's still significant remaining capability.
Now, others from the blue camp are still waiting for a final battle damage assessment.
My personal view, based on what I heard, is Iran continues to be a threat. A nuclear-armed Iran is a threat to the entire world, an unacceptable threat. And right now, we have no final battle damage assessment that would enable us to be comfortable or complacent about what has been done.
However, the Republican lawmakers are rallying behind the American president and his administration's statements on the scale of damage to 3 of Iran's nuclear sites.
Without any classified information whatsoever, I think it's safe to say that we have struck a major blow alongside our friends in Israel against Iran's nuclear program that is going to make America safer, our friends in the region safer, and protect the world from the risk of an Iranian nuclear weapon for years.
Now, later in the day, the administration will also brief the congressional lawmakers in the House of Representatives in a closed-door session. The top officials from Trump's cabinet, including the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, have echoed the U.S. president's statement on the success of the American strikes. All right, now joining us in the broadcast to help us make more sense of this entire controversy that has blown up in the United States of America, we're joined by Mr. Garland Nixon, who is a political analyst and also a radio show host. Mr. Nixon, thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Beyond. There are so many issues that the Democrats could, of course, criticize the president on, but the fact that they seem to disagree with the statement that he made, that he's managed to obliterate the Iranian nuclear sites. Why has this issue become such a big political hot potato?
Well, because the Democrats supported the Israeli attack, which was, of course, an illegal under international law on Iran. They supported President Trump's attack on Iran, which, again, was illegal under international law. Both parties agree on these aggressive military measures, and they agree on foreign policy goals. However, from a partisanship perspective, from a perspective of domestic policy, they have to still maintain the ruse that they're arguing with President Trump over foreign policy. So what they've chosen to argue is something that would foment further military action. Well, we haven't done enough damage, so we have to, I guess, continue to bomb, continue to attack, etc. I think it is fairly disgraceful that we're not having an actual intellectual discussion which would include issues of international law and, of course, constitutional law. This is a very intellectually barren conversation that we're having here.
I think you've touched the nub of the issue by describing this as an intellectually barren issue that the Democrats seem to have latched upon as. But when you look at the entire Democrat policy with respect to this conflict that unfolded between Iran and Israel that was backed by the United States of America, are the Democrats any different from the Republicans at all?
When it comes to foreign policy goals, absolutely not. Right now, their whole goal is to attack Donald Trump, who, quite frankly, based on statements that he's made and based on these Truth Social posts, seems to be fairly unhinged. He seems to be far less competent than he was. Not that I'm a person who doesn't necessarily agree with his policies, but I would say he was more competent at least the first 4 years. He seems to be unhinged, and he seems to be really making, dramatic errors in conversation. The other thing that is important here is that both parties know that the United States notified Iran earlier of these attacks, that this was a faux attack, and then Iran did the same thing. This was a way for the United States to escape out of a disastrous political move that they, military move that they made. So they won't actually discuss what international law allows here. They won't actually discuss that this was a fake attack. It is an absurdity and a political embarrassment to me as an American citizen.
I think you've summed it up really well there. Thank you very much indeed, Ms. Nixon, for joining us with that perspective there.
Thank you.